Yes, Lindsay here with Storybrook Family Farm. So yesterday I started working on actually fixing up the shed a little bit more. While the shed is really not in that great a shape, it costs like $500 for me to get it torn down and removed, and to replace it, it's like, I don't know, I think like $6,000 or something like that to get a different shed put here. So it's just something that's not really worthwhile for me to do anything either way with. So what I did was some of the metal roofing that I had used to fix the barn siding, where the raccoon had tried to rip a hole in the siding of it, I actually put some of it up here. So this here actually is covering all of the water damage, all of the termite damage, all of the rot, all of the yucky parts, and making it so that way only small snakes can fit in the shed now. Before, any size snake, any size like squirrel or anything of the sort like that could easily just waltz right in. I also discovered while pressure washing the shed that vent thing right there was not even attached. Like I blew over it with the pressure washer and it went and like flew through the shed. So that was kind of exciting. I was like, whoa, not expecting that to happen. But so as you guys can see, I also did this side over here. I didn't do anything on the front because the front side does not have any water damage. Oh, and here's our resident snake right there. I don't know if you guys will be able to see him or not. Yeah, he's been living in the shed for a while. So always one of those things where you just kind of watch for him. But so it's just a garter snake, ribbon snake, something of the sort like that. It's not venomous, not anything to be concerned with. But as you guys can see, when I power washed, I took quite a bit of the paint off of the front here, which is fine. It saves me from scraping it. I'm actually just going to paint the shed, the whole thing, the same color as the house because I have enough paint left over that I should be able to just knock it out pretty quickly. But so other things that I've been working on besides painting gonna be painting the shed and working on fixing it up some more. Basically, I know that the shed is really not worth much of anything, but I don't want anything to be a big eyesore here that makes it so that way, like, let me backtrack. In terms of doing projects that are going to make our house be able to be sellable for more money, there really is nothing left for me to do. Right now, I'm just working on focusing on making it so that way it's more desirable for other people, making it so that way it's less of like, there's no eyesores, there's no things of, oh, that scares me, you know, like how we bought it, how there was so much trash here and there was so many just mounds of just garbage everywhere and just nastiness. It made it so that way nobody else but us would be willing to buy it. And the only reason we were was because we had really insanely difficult life circumstances and we looked at it in the dark, so we didn't see all the trash. I don't want that to be the situation for this house anymore. I want this to be a place that whoever comes here next actually feels like it's a home, that it's not a work site, it's not a burden, it's not something. I want them to feel differently than I do about it. I want them to actually feel like they can love this place and basically just breathe a whole bunch more love into the space. Like I cleansed it, I purified it, I fixed it, I changed it drastically and transformed it, but it's not for me to love. So that's basically what I'm doing now, is just working on doing different projects that are basically just going to help the next person fall in love with it. So it's kind of weird that I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to make us any more money, but I'm, busting my tail trying to get this done. But so yeah, I'm going to get this painted today. And then later on today, basically it's been really nice out. We haven't had any rain. We're in the beginning of a pretty significant drought, I feel. So it's been nice because I've reverted back to what I used to do. When it was nice out, I worked outside. When it was terrible out, that's when I worked inside. And since I'm pretty much done with inside work, I can focus on making it beautiful here. So the other thing that I'm going to attempt to do today is removing the fenced off area here for where the leach line was leaking at. It obviously still leaks. We have not got the septic replaced, but because we're no longer in the rainy season, I can take this big monstrosity of fencing down. So it makes it so it's a really big pain in the butt to mow the yard when you have this big, basically just a barricade and stuff that goes, the whole way. So I'm going to work on taking that down, try to get it weed whacked. Our mower part still has not come in yet, so I can't mow the grass, which is kind of frustrating because today's a day that I would have naturally wanted to mow because it's just everything is getting a little unruly, but it is what it is. And then later on today, we're going to light a nice bonfire, burn some of the junk wood that we have. What else did we do? I remember. We also moved the wood pile. So we had a pile of lumber, like rough sawn lumber and different things of that nature, and just offcuts and project pieces and things of that. So that was over here where it was right behind the camper when the camper was over here. That was over here. We moved that to being over there. So It's next to the pile of metal roofing that we have. So I know that it's hard for me because I know that we have more stuff than most people, than most, non-homesteading people, non-farming people. But it's also hard because there's not really storage here. So it's kind of like, okay, well, we have junk piles, or resource piles as I call them. But I know that to the untrained eye, it would look like a junk pile because it's just sort of chaotically thrown. So I'm going to show you guys the next junk pile that we'll need. Probably next week, I'll probably work on cleaning this up. This is our fencing pile and cages pile. There's nowhere else to put it. Like, we have no actual good storage here. So underneath of the pines, it kind of stays dry-ish, but also fencing really doesn't need to be contained. That's not attractive. So gonna get that all cleaned up sometime this week, and just try to basically get everything looking nicer, neater, more organized. So the other thing that's been going on is, like I told you guys in a previous video, I moved the goats so that way they could expand their pasture out to this area over here. But there's been a big problem with that. So one of the nice things about how our homestead is laid out, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's nice because the goats can't see us, so then Lucky stays in and behaves himself. But it also makes it so we can't watch the goats and we can't enjoy the goats. So it's been a learning experience for Lucky. So basically, I put some barricades up right over here to try to distract him from the chicken feed. I've been experimenting with moving the chicken feed and the duck feed in different places to sort of dissuade him to not jump the fence, because Lucky can jump over a 4-foot fence with ease. And yeah, it's not really worked. So I've been working on trying to sort of retrain him, like as if he were a dog, because I don't know what else to do. At this point, I don't know how this handsome devil here is going to be able to move with us, because most likely we're not going to end up in a space where the entire pasture is, tucked behind the barn in the woods where there's nothing for them to eat, because that's part of the reason why we want to move, is there's really nothing for them to have out here. But so that makes it so, if you can't contain him, what do you do and stuff? So I've been working on anytime that he jumps out and he escapes. I gotta get out of the sun. It's like blinding me. Anytime that he escapes or gets out, then I just keep locking him back in the barn, his side of the barn and stuff, for, like 45 minutes, half an hour, something of the sort like that. Just so then that way it's kind of like, hey, you're going in timeout. Because when our dogs act up and they mess up, that's what we do, is we just put them in the cage for a little while, give them a timeout and stuff, especially if they're acting like really rambunctious and stuff. So I'm like, maybe this will work. Like, I don't know. Like, we've tried tying him up. We've tried a million different other things. And it's like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, I don't know. But it was kind of funny because my uncle stopped out the other day because, I'm notorious for overbuilding stuff. And the last big duck and goose tractor that I built, I made it way too heavy for me to be able to move. So I was like, hey, do you want this? And he's like, yeah, of course I do. So he came out and stuff. And he's the same guy that we had initially tried to give Lucky to. And I've seen his setup and I was like, there's no way he'll stay in. Like, he'll kill himself and stuff. While my uncle was here, Lucky escaped like 3 times. And he's like, I understand now. I understand exactly why you're like, he'll get killed at my house. And I'm like, yep. So big concern there. I've got my fingers crossed, since Lucky is so intelligent, that I can sort of retrain him to not jump out. But I mean, it's a long shot. I mean, when he was a little guy, when we still lived in the camper, he figured out that he can jump a 4-foot fence then. We've tried electric line and he'll come off smoking and stuff, like just still jump over, just because he loves to be around people. And that's what's kind of hard, is like, when they're back here, he doesn't get that much people time and stuff that, he desperately needs. But it's hard because it is what it is. Don't want him to get hurt, don't want him to cause chaos, don't want him to cause problems, but, it's complicated. But so in other goat news, we did end up deciding that we were going to keep Dandy and Lion, 2 of Rosie's boys. Dandy was the bottle baby. He's actively working on getting weaned off of the bottle because, we lost track of time and he's like 11 weeks old and we're like, oops. But so they actually got banded. Watch out. They actually got banded last night. We put bands on them and stuff, so then that way they become neutered males, so we don't have to worry about them accidentally getting somebody pregnant in here, because, Lucky and Winston are the only guys in here and they both are neutered. So funny, you cannot use the tripod to scratch in between your horns. I'll do it for you. But so that's going to make everything much more harmonious and better for them. And then we are keeping Iris, the female that Rosie had. We're probably planning on using Lion for meat, to start venturing off into that realm of using the goats as more dual purpose, because you figure we use the chickens as dual purpose and stuff, and just I'd like to get more from the goats than just milk and manure, and having somebody to pet and be cute and hurt your knee and make you run a lot, and those sorts of things. But yeah, so that's about it for today. I've got a lot of outside stuff to do, and I figured I would film real quick because I've been so out of practice of filming on a regular basis, because I keep going, I'll eat first and then I'll go film, or I'll do this first and then I'll go film. And I realized that's why I haven't been filming, is because I'm putting it off instead of just doing it first and then uploading while I eat breakfast. It's been a struggle for me lately to try to gain my bearings and regain my bearings and get a routine going and stuff, because the last, God, I want to say 2 months or so, it's been curveball, and just craziness. It's been really hard on me to remain flexible and stuff, of just going with the flow and going, oh well, now we're doing this, and oh well, now we're doing this. Because for me, routine is huge for me in terms of staying grounded and staying centered and stuff. Is that I need to have a constant, consistent routine, so when things get disrupted, things get kind of crazy and hard for me to really level out and to really balance out. That's one of the greatest things about homesteading and farming, is that since I do dairy animals, at least that part of my day is always the same. I start at the same, I end at the same. So that kind of helps me out quite a bit. But yeah, I'm going to quit yakking so that way I can get to work, because I have a lot to do. My belly is growling. I need to make me some eggs. And I'm not sure what else I'm having for breakfast besides the eggs. Probably make some cheesy eggs with some maple syrup drizzled on top. That's kind of my jam. But it's neat for me that the eggs come from our chickens. The syrup comes from our trees. It's just, I love when I have meals that it's full circle, that you can see where everything came from, and it is what it is. So part of why I keep doing this lifestyle is because I like having that sense of responsibility, that sense of pride, and that sense of knowing of, if I didn't plant this seed, I wouldn't have gotten to eat this, and if I didn't experience this, then I wouldn't have had this. And it's really fun to see the cause and effects, and knowing that you created this. It's just been really good for me. So that's a whole nother tangent, and if I keep talking, then I'm just gonna talk. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.